Welcome to Midnight Menu Plus One. I'm Ray Canada.
And I'm Margo Moss. Midnight Menu Plus One is a food lifestyle show on the podcast network, itsneworleans.com.
Each week on Midnight Menu Plus One, Margo and I invite a member of New Orleans restaurant and food community to join us, and we invite them to bring along their own guest, a plus one. We never know who their plus one's going to be. Sometimes a friend, a neighbor, a family member, or a fellow restaurant colleague. And tonight, our special guest on Midnight Menu Plus One is Kevin White of Wayfare.
And if you're hungry for more Midnight Menu Plus One than we can dish up here, we have all kinds of extra stuff like recipes, guest gossip, sneak peeks into who's coming up next week, and much more on our website, itsneworleans.com. On itsneworleans.com, you can check out our blog, sign up for a newsletter, you can follow us on Instagram, Twitter, and Facebook. Or you can just Google Midnight Menu Plus One and we come right up. Tonight's show is brought to us by our friends at Magic Box Toys.
And also Petite Pet Care. If you need someone to look after your pet while you're at work or school, if your pet would rather stay home than go to a kennel or doggy daycare, Petite Pet Care has you covered. Loving care when you're not there, petitepetcare.com.
Magic Box Toys has a bunch of very cool and hip stuff, as well as the classics like Lego and Melissa and Doug. You can find them online at magicboxneworleans.com or in real life on Magazine Street near Jefferson Avenue. When you go to Magic Box Toys, you can experience the magic by telling them Ray and Margo sent you from Midnight Menu Plus One and get 10% off of everything in the store.
That's a great deal. I'm really looking forward to talking with Kevin White tonight at Wayfare. And we're going to do that in just a moment. Before we do, let's catch up on this week's culinary adventures. You eat anything worth reporting, Margo?
Well, I had some things to report, and then it got foggy after this evening's meal because I took some friends in from out of town, and we went to Dante's Kitchen.
Oh, love that place. Oh,
yes.
Recent guest. Iman was on our show.
And I had the marrow appetizer.
Oh, I've never had that. How was that?
Unbelievable.
Cool.
I almost picked up the plate and drank it. It was like it can be kind of shocking when you see it come out, but it was so delicious.
What was shocking about it?
Well, it's just, if you think about it, you're eating the marrow out of a bone. It's just, kind of, it can look a little intimidating.
When you talk about marrow, usually it's like an organ transplant thing happening or whatever, right? It's a medical procedure. But this is a delicious culinary experience.
Yes, it was wonderful. So have you had anything
I had a bunch of good meals this week, and I'm looking forward to some really good ones this coming week. But the one that stuck out was my encounter with the black and gold salad. I was sitting out on the sidewalk in front of PJ's, a magazine, typing away on my laptop, and all of a sudden I look up and there's this lovely woman standing over me, and she pulls out of her bag the salad and hands it to me. and I'd skipped lunch, so I was kind of hungry, and then I opened it up, and the salad was unbelievable. And it turned out to be Gia, or one of our guests from Green to Go, one of the great salad pioneers of our city. People complain there's not enough salads available,
and she delivers it.
She delivers them right to you. And this time I wouldn't even ask for it, and she delivered me a salad. Wasn't that great? And it turned out to be a black and gold salad. It had chicken and pineapple and grilled like sweet onions, big ones, and a special sauce. And it was and some brown rice on the bottom, and it was absolutely fantastic. It was the best salad I've had in a long time. It was great.
Wonderful.
Looks like our special guest is here, Kevin White of Wayfare, one of my favorite places to eat. I know yours too. Margo, you and I got to eat there again last week together. It was a lot of fun. Glad you're here. Welcome.
Happy to be here.
Thank you, Kevin. So I wanted to ask you, how did you get started in cooking?
Well, in a sort of roundabout way. Very roundabout, actually. I was in the Marine Corps. I was in the first Gulf War. And upon return, my best friend and I were going to be opening a survival school. And we were short of funds. So we were going to take a year.
What is a survival school?
Oh, like living off the land, with the land.
Whoa.
Yes. So I did that for 8 years in the Marine Corps, and I taught it. And we traveled around the world. And every time you go someplace, you teach survival techniques. So in case you get stranded, you're able to take care of yourself. So we came.
So this is like drinking your own urine and like finding shelter from
But exactly.
Really?
Exactly. Except I didn't
made
drink
that
my own
part
urine.
up.
No, Bear Grylls does it, or whoever that guy is. He
Okay.
drinks it. But no, I did not do that. But everything
rubbing
else
sticks together, that kind of thing. Yeah.
is making
fires,
for
right.
sure, and everything that goes along with it, just to live. So we came back, and we're going to take a year to make enough money to get this thing rolling. And my sister was living in New York City at the time, and invited me there. And I love to cook. My family were great cooks, and she said, "Why don't you go to school and you can make enough money to start your own school?" So I went to school, did an externship with David Burke at Park Avenue Cafe, and fell in love with cooking, and I've been doing it ever since.
So that was your first experience in the culinary world, was cooking there?
In high school, I did flip steaks at a place called Mr. Steak in Youngstown, Ohio, and but that wasn't real cooking as we know it today. So, but no, went to a very fine school and learned all the classic techniques and food from around the world, actually.
Huh. Now, how'd you end up in the Marines to begin with? Like, what was that like?
Out of high school.
All right.
And instead of college, I thought it'd be wise to settle down and get some discipline, and that's it. The Marine Corps seemed like the way to go. I had an uncle who was in World War II. I respected a great deal, and I thought.
So
I'd
how'd
be
you
a
get
Marine.
teaching like survival techniques in the Marine
Yeah,
Corps?
that
Were you
seems
like
pretty
Were you like somebody said,
advanced.
"Hey, anybody want to be dropped down in the middle of the woods and see if they can survive for a month or something?" Like, how'd that happen? You volunteered for this?
I joined the Special Forces of the Marine Corps. It's called reconnaissance.
Ah.
So I was a recon Marine, and we work in small teams, 4-man teams, and our main mission is to gather information, reconnaissance. But other tasks are required as well. But you do get dumped out in the middle of nowhere, and you look for targets, or just report on troop movement and things like that. Yes. So oftentimes they can't rescue you if you get caught up in things. So that's where the survival comes in. You may have to live off the land for a few weeks.
Now, living off the land, like in the middle of the wilderness, is one thing. Living off the land in the desert, like in Iraq, I would think that would be like.
It's
No?
the greatest challenge. It's the greatest
I mean,
challenge.
what do you do with sand? There's only so much you can do with sand, right?
You'd be surprised. There's lots of little things out there you can eat and
Like
find
what?
water. There's critters, snakes and bugs, and there's actually, even out in the desert, especially in Kuwait, there were these agricultural farms. So you can sneak into these places. We used to hide in those places as well and gather information, but there's a lot of edible stuff there.
Now, did you learn that?
In the Marine Corps.
In the like
They have
they instructed you on what to do before they dropped you off, right?
Exactly.
So, and you didn't have growing up in Ohio. You didn't have.
I was
any-
very woodsy. I was a hunter and a
Okay.
fisherman, and
Okay.
oh no,
So you
I
were
love the
inclined
woods.
in that
Yes.
direction.
Mm-hmm.
So you can eat anything now, pretty much.
Pretty
if
much.
you had to.
I can.
I mean,
And
how
do,
many different
and
kinds
do.
of reptiles have you eaten? Probably. You lost count
Many.
a long time ago.
Many.
Is there anything
Roadkill.
That has happened.
Really?
Yes. In peacetime training, they starve you. You do these things. It's called SEER, survive, escape, resist, and evade. So they send you out in the woods, and you just go live. And actually, they try and hunt you down and capture you. So you have to go for like a week at a time, and it's training, just good training.
People went bonkers sometimes, right? You probably had a couple of guys you're with that just went
To get in
crazy,
the-
and then you killed them and ate them. Is that what happened?
I've never eaten a human, but I've always been interested.
Oh yes. That
This could
answers
segue
my.
into our breast milk conversation again. No.
Well, I was going to say, is there anything you wouldn't eat?
Did you say
like-
breast milk?
yes.
yes.
Please, do you have any thoughts on breast milk?
It's the best milk in the world.
Thank you.
tried it?
Thank you.
Oh yes, yes, yes. I had a thing for that for a while, but
You had a thing
For
for that.
health reasons, or like a?
oh yeah, health reasons. Yes, I said if I didn't get that, I'm going to die.
Please,
No,
come on,
actually-
bring it up.
So my friends know this about me. So
Huh.
there's actually some ladies in France that make breast milk cheese,
Thank you.
but I would like it fresh from the tap.
I'm vindicated.
Yes.
That
Fresh
is
from the
so
tap.
amazing. That is so amazing.
I've actually never
I am
tasted
so
breast milk in
impressed.
my life. Even as a baby, I was on formula.
Oh.
But in theory, I'm all for breast milk.
I think I was weaned too early, and that's why I have this craving.
Ah.
Yes.
And did it make you feel
Great.
Great.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean,
So if you could only eat, your last meal in life, maybe it would you would.
Glad it
I never
ask for
thought
that?
about it, but now that's for sure. That's what I would have. Yes.
What I mean, like, we drink cow's milk all the time and goat's milk and stuff, and this is much closer to the way you were created, right? You were created to have human milk.
Exactly. And
It's
actually,
just the ick factor. Once you get past that, and you're past the ick factor because you were eating worms and snakes and humans and everything in the wilderness, right?
Yes. But it's actually the best milk. It has the highest fat content, and that's what makes it so flavorful and it's sweet.
So, could we ever see, if you ever did your own thing, would you put that on the menu? Would you have breast milk cheese, or do you think New Orleans can handle it?
Only fresh from the tap.
Only fresh from the tap, no cheese. No. Is it an interactive restaurant? Do you get to control the tap as the customer?
If I could do this, I would. Trust me.
Still warm?
Yes.
Wow.
It's
Yeah.
room temperature.
Why is this not? Is this in the tour guides?
I-
Is this like this is an underground thing?
I think it's underground.
Yeah.
I think it's
So
underground.
where in France is that?
I don't recall. Friends have told me about it, and I think you could Google it. I'm sure. Yes.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's completely thrown me off, but maybe. So let's get to a little bit about where you are today.
Okay.
And is that all right? Because I would like to know. That's a very creative thing to drink breast milk, and I would like to know how that creativity comes into when you're creating a menu. Let's say for Wayfare.
Yes.
What that process is like, and has anything ever been? Have you ever suggested something that has been shot down because it was one step away from breast milk?
No, other than I have created some crazy sandwiches. We did I don't know how many sandwiches. She was part of this. We did all these sandwiches. A lot were really out there, and I wouldn't say they got shot down. They were just a little bit too difficult to create. So, and that's part of the business in any restaurant. You can't make things too complex unless you have an army, like a lot of fine dining places have. So you have to make it easy to recreate all the time. And you can't do it yourself. I can do more things with these than others can. So my hands.
To clarify, because people couldn't see you doing this.
Yes.
Okay.
So, and that's how the main menu is. We have the standing menu with 10 sandwiches, but then I do 2 or 3 special sandwiches and sliders every day. So that's where we have more fun, and they're a little more complex, and they're more exciting.
What's an example of a few of those? Like what?
Oh, geez. The biggest one has been the Portuguese Man of War.
What's that like?
So it is a salt cod brown dot cake topped with chorizo, fennel peppers and onions, kale chips, and orange blossom honey butter, which I make a lot of compound butters. I have up to 15 butters at a time in my walk-in.
Wow.
And it's on samita bread, which is kind of like a Mexican coffee cake. It has sugar on top, so it's savory bread with sugar on top, and they make designs on it. So all that's I just mentioned sits on that bread. And it's gorgeous.
Sounds divine.
It eats very well. I
sold
it
that last week.
Yeah.
Actually,
Margo, what happened?
I had it at Po' Boy Fest. Actually, I started there, and then
So you invented it for Po' Boy Fest. Now you carry it regularly in the restaurant.
on occasion.
On
It
occasion,
comes around
okay.
once a month or every other month.
That sounds like a lot of work.
It's a lot of work. It's a lot of work. So that's an example of one. And the other thing is good names, the Portuguese Man of War, because it's all the ingredients you find in Portugal. So that's how that came about. Kale's very big, pork, and the salt cod brandade. They introduced the world to salt cod brandade.
Right.
Or salt cod, I should say. And then giving the names. It's Portuguese Man of War because of the ingredients, but also because it's a killer sandwich.
Nice.
Yeah, thanks. And
Now-
I'd love to do that, give names to sandwiches. I have the verve, which is broccoli rabe or pini, which is bitter, and then there's sweeter things like peppers and tomatoes, so it's like a bittersweet symphony of flavors. The verve.
Nice.
Thank you.
And does it bother you that some people don't get it? They probably walk
No,
out and
it
it's totally missed on them?
It doesn't bother me at all. I do talk to people, and people ask me why I name. I have very regular crew guests these days, and they do are more inquisitive about it. A lot of them do get it right off the bat. Others don't. But the verbs on our playlist cycle, and if you're eating a sandwich when it comes on, you get a free dessert.
Ah.
Sweet.
Yeah, we have fun.
Now, how did you get to Wayfare? I mean, I'd like to know a little bit about your past, but and how you
briefly,
met the folks there.
I spent 10 years in New York City, worked at a lot of fine dining places there. I worked with Mario Batali for 2 years, and a lot of other great places. I moved here in 2001 to be with my brother, actually, and his family. He's a chief of cardiology at Auctioner, and actually he's now chairman of medicine. He runs all the campuses. And so I just came to be with him, and New Orleans was a great food city, and I just fell in love with it. So I was here till Katrina, and I got wiped out. I was living off the Esplanade by the track, and ended up going to Seattle. And I spent 5 years in Seattle, and I became chef de cuisine of the Space Needle. So that was quite an adventure, and Seattle was gorgeous.
It was just named the Space Needle, or really was the Space Needle?
No, the Space
The
Needle.
real Space Needle, okay. It's not like some place like in the burbs, in the mall. Calls itself the Space Needle. They make they make Philly cheesesteaks and hot dogs. No, it's not that.
No.
Like in the most iconic symbol of Seattle.
It is.
Wow.
It is. Yes. It was
That
incredible.
is really interesting.
And my second year there, it was actually, and people think it's very touristy, and it was, but they brought in a new chef and me, and we turned the place around. 2009, we got Restaurant of the Year in Seattle. So it was pretty amazing.
Amazing.
It was amazing.
Huh.
So
Why would you leave that?
to come back to be with my brother?
Just to be with your brother?
Yes.
Oh, wow.
And friends. I have great friends here. I have on my way
So
back.
basically, New Orleans was. You'd rather come to New Orleans and try out something new, not knowing what the future held for you, rather than be the a star in the food world in Seattle.
Yes.
Right.
Family trumps everything.
John Milton said something about that one. Like, go ahead. Yeah, serving in heaven or hell. Yeah, it's like.
Yes.
No, but I'm not. No,
I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm not equating Seattle with hell, but I do want to equate New Orleans with heaven.
Well, another important reason brought me back was a great friend of mine, my best friend for years. Ever since I came here, we worked in several restaurants together, and actually opened Galatoire's in Baton Rouge immediately after Katrina. Brian Landry of Bourne. Great guy, was opening Bourne and asked me if I'd come help him do that. It was a monster to get started, and he's doing wonderfully. He does great food. He's a great chef. And so I said, I'll give you a year, and then I'm going to go do my own thing. And I was looking and ran into the Arnonas, who own Wayfare, and they had this crazy idea to do what we're doing now, because it's very unique and it's hard to give it a name even, though I have thought of a name for it. I call it a dynamic sandwich brasserie. That's the concept now, because there's really nothing.
Did you coin
like
that
it.
term?
I just did, just right now.
Just now? It just came to you just now on our show. Another first on our show.
I thought about it.
Let's pretend
I
like you
thought
just got it on our show, though.
all
Okay.
right. No one's heard it though. I haven't told anyone.
Now you're in the space. Wasn't that the old Freret boxing gym? Yeah. Okay. I belonged to that in 2010, and you guys opened in 2012.
Yes.
And it looks a little different now.
a lot. I saw pictures of it before. I wasn't real familiar with it.
There was no AC and
Nothing. Yeah. Vince Arnona did a tremendous job with the place. I mean, it's gorgeous. It really is.
And there's cured meat.
Yes, I do own my own meats in house now.
There are not too many places in New Orleans that cure their own meats in house. Really, I mean, there's just a handful.
There's a handful.
Yeah,
there's a handful, and I'm very fortunate. It took a year to get going. It's a lot of work. It's very time consuming and just difficult to do. But now I have more time and I do it.
Now, did you learn about that during your time with Mario Batali?
I did. I learned in school, but that's where it really came professionally was with Mario Batali, and that's when he was first starting to do his own charcuterie as well. So yes, that's where I got my first taste and learned the basics.
And what was that like to work with him?
Incredible. He's a great guy, the most knowledgeable man on Italian food there is, and just very friendly, great mentor, great teacher. I loved every minute with him as well.
Do you stay in touch with him?
No. We were friends, but not quite that close.
And you work. What did you do when y'all worked together? What was what did that look like?
I was a cook. I started at Babo. It was kind of his flagship restaurant, and then I was only there for a short time when they opened Lupa, and they we're looking for volunteers. And there's a guy, I really wanted to cook pasta and learn how to cook pasta properly. It's truly an art. It's difficult actually to do it correctly. And I couldn't work the pasta station at Babbo's, so they said, if you go to Lupa, you can do the pasta. So that's why I went to Lupa. So, and he does fresh and dried pastas. And actually, a lot of Italians, including Mario, prefer dried pasta because they eat it every day. And it tends to get a little too, instead of eating really soft noodles, it's good to have that al dente pasta as well. You can only get from dried.
Wait, will you talk a little bit about that? We explain the difference between dried and...
So fresh pasta, you're never going to have, it's not going to have any toothiness. It's easy to chew. It's almost turns to mush.
Mm-hmm.
But with dry pasta, you can control what state you want it to be in.
Right.
And it just has, when you cook it perfectly, it just has a great texture. And it's more chewy than fresh pasta.
So is it harder to cook it, to learn how to cook it well, than to make it?
And it's harder, it's harder to cook dry pasta perfectly than fresh pasta. Yes.
Okay.
There's more
'Cause there's a
choice
point.
involved. Yeah,
Yes.
there's a point to it. Yeah, al dente to the teeth, basically.
Right.
Yeah, right.
Exactly.
It's supposed to feel resistance.
Mm-hmm. Just a little bit.
Yeah.
So have you been inspired to move on and open? I mean, not now, but we have New Orleans Italian food here, but have you ever been thought about doing an Italian restaurant?
I have, and I would love to do that. I actually have many ideas, and the owner and I actually talk about it all the time. Even a second Wayfare, but we're thinking about doing it a regular fine dining restaurant, and it could be Italian. He's Italian, so he'd love that. So it can happen.
You know, I'll tell you, I'm from New York originally, and then the burbs of it, and grew up in an Italian family, Italian neighborhood. And when I go back, everyone always wants me to go to all these great restaurants, and I always insult them and annoy them because I refuse to do that because I can have pretty much all the other great food down here in different forms. But it's red sauce Italian that I want to have every single meal when I'm up there, and I'm not picky. I mean, I'll go to pizzerias and whatever because I crave it so much. And there's so few of those down here, and boy, you know, if you're thinking about a second, third, venture or whatever, that I definitely want to put that on your radar.
It's funny. I grew up
because I think it would thrive here.
I agree. I grew up in a small town, huge Italian community, and all our neighbors were Italian. And my mother wasn't a great cook when she first started, but she became a great cook. But she learned from all these Italian ladies, and she really outdid them. And when we moved, they were asking her for her recipes and how she made her sauce, she had the best meatballs, the best, all that good stuff. So yeah, and that's why and I used to
honor your mom. Open up an Italian place. Yeah.
But let me ask you. I know we got to move on, but I'm just your mom was not a great cook when she started out, and then
she was, but she had never been taught.
Never.
She had a great palate and great creativity as well.
Okay, that's what I was going to ask you. How?
And then she
evolved to.
So she learned to cook the basics, and then she got into Julia Child big time. Watching it and reading it, and she would cook. It's almost like Julie and Julie, the movie. She would cook different dishes out all the time, which my father hated because he just liked meat and potatoes. But Mom was doing, we were doing seafood crepes and all sorts of interesting things, and that's when I really got interested in cooking as well. But
so she inspired you from a young age.
Very much.
That's beautiful.
And my grandmother was a great old school cook, biscuits and all that stuff as well. So very Americana.
Well, we see your plus one is here. Why don't you introduce him to us and tell us why you brought him and your relationship?
This is my great friend, Mikey Coustay.
He brought me because I bring drinks.
No, I brought him because no one else would come. No, Mike was one of my first best friends when I first moved here. Actually, Brian Landry, Mike, another guy, Nick Engler, and I opened Renee Bistro.
2001.
2001. And he came with Nick. Nick came to get a job, and Renee talked him into
the interview.
Cooking.
I wasn't even going to interview. I was just there because Nick needed somebody to ride with him down there. He was really nervous. And Renee saw me, and he said, "You have on chef pants. You come inside." I said, No, I'm okay, chef. I'm good. I have a job. I'm happy here. And he goes, "No, you come inside." And, that's where we met. Sorry to interrupt.
That's where...
That's where we
y'all met.
Yes. Yeah, and he couldn't cook, and he
No,
still can't.
No, I really can't. The coat it's all an act. It's a marketing ploy, really.
Well, what do you do?
The ladies love the coat.
They
chef
do. A
coat,
man in
yeah.
uniform. Absolutely. I'm a consultant chef, so I jump around quite a bit. I actually quit my job with a grocery company that I won't mention because they banned me from all 38 of their stores. My mom was very proud.
How do you get yourself banned from 38
It was
stores?
easy. It was easy. Well, okay, so at Whole Foods, I was known as Mike the Poacher because I helped take 14 or 15 cooks in one day. So whenever I left this this is actually 3 jobs ago now. Whenever I left them, they banned me because they were afraid I was going to recruit.
Oh, they didn't want you coming around.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh.
And if they're listening, I will. I've already begun. It's going to happen. Those are my cooks. They're coming with me.
You'd be like a card counter. You come in disguise. They don't know.
I went straight in just to see if they would test me on it, and they let me through the door, and I pointed at 2 cooks. And then I pointed to the door. They met me outside, and they quit that day. One of them went to go work for Kevin White at the Wayfare. That was Ben V. I don't remember. I never knew how to say his last name.
Victoriano.
There it is. Speaking of names, Dan, is that your husband?
Uh-oh. Yes.
Okay, good.
Daniel.
Just making sure. Daniel, yeah.
Oh, Daniel.
Okay.
Why?
I
You
was just
were
wondering.
doing some research on me?
No. I met him, actually. He tried some of my food at Rook Cafe. I make these gluten-free frittatas.
Yes.
Oh,
I-
you're a Rook Cafe, too. Huh?
Yeah.
Oh, I love that place.
Well, I write a lot, and
Yeah.
that's where I retire to when I'm not in the kitchen. I'm hanging out there, and I kept hearing people, because my headphones were broken, I kept hearing people order or ask for gluten-free stuff, and they didn't have any. So I'm always looking to fill a void that a restaurant has. I know some people have fought me on gluten-free in the past. I'm not looking at the Wayfare guys at all. But
We carry gluten free.
you do, and I'm glad. That was a good idea.
Oh, we sell it all the time.
They're
There's a lot.
Gluten-free bread?
Oh, there's tons of gluten free people out there.
yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
yeah.
I didn't realize.
we
so
have it.
y'all have.
Yeah.
Excellent.
I accidentally dated 2 celiacs, so gluten-free became important to me because I love these women, and so I learned a lot about gluten-free cooking, and that's why I have a website, and the chain restaurant I'm about to do is going to be heavily involved in gluten-free stuff.
Oh, wait, what are you about to do?
I'm about to open up a chain of restaurants.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Wait,
You can start one.
you already know it's going to be a chain?
Oh yeah. No, you got to have an exit strategy. If you have a business plan and you don't know the next step, it's not a business plan. I've already got 3 locations picked out, and they're asking for me, so I'm gonna do that. Cheers.
Wow, tell us about it.
I just did.
All
That's
right.
all I can say.
But are there spoons in your pocket?
Every round man carries utensils. I brought snacks. We're gonna be talking about food for a while.
Is that what those
serve it
little
up.
pockets
Yeah,
are
yeah.
for? Is for utensils?
Usually people will
looks
use
great.
Sharpies and all. I stole these from you, by the way.
That's fine.
And the plates are from Rook Cafe. And since it's Cinco de Mayo,
So poacher could mean a lot of things.
I usually
Doesn't-
just poach souls. I just take people and I bring them with me. So that's what I do. And I've done
Oh, I
it for
thought
a
you meant
long
you
time.
suck the soul out of them. No, you.
Eventually I do. That's after they work for me and I've had enough. That's what I do, yeah. So tonight I just brought some, this is from Whole Foods. I will advertise for them
Wait,
because they treat me
I thought
well.
you were banned from them.
Not them. No, that's another place.
Oh, I thought
He
you were banned.
said Whole Foods.
It-
He's
it
not
rhy-
saying
yeah,
the name
it
of the
rhymes
place.
with Bouses, if you will. And the guy's name, the guy that banned me, it rhymes with Scott Miller. He loves me. So yeah, this is just a chorizo.
I'd consider that a compliment, though.
I just dropped my phone. This is a chorizo with a fresh made guacamole from Travis Foster. He's my sous chef for life. Together we are known as Travike. We were combined in some girl's horrible nightmare of a dream, I guess.
Did
and,
you get along with Craig when you were at Rouse's?
Craig, why are these falling apart? This is garbage. Look, that's for y'all. I'm not even hungry. Craig, which one?
Craig G. I can't say his last name. It's unpronounceable.
Sounds familiar.
He's the
Nah,
guy that was at Janita's, and he was at let's see, he was at he bounced around a lot, did
See,
a lot of great things.
I'm a big fan of Dale Carnegie, and I try to remember those people's names, but
Okay.
I'm also a big fan of what's his name, Hunter S. Thompson. So I'm not all there.
So you work hard at forgetting
Exactly.
things.
It actually comes
Or
easy.
play hard.
Effortlessly, I forget things through a lot of party. But yeah. So what's next? Y'all eat. I'm grab my-
I'm actually good.
Okay.
Oh, you don't trust my food? You're not
No.
gonna eat in front of them?
No, I don't eat my own food. You son of a-
See, I'm just
Wait,
the
wait.
opposite.
Let me ask you. Speaking of when you create a dish,
Yes.
by the time you serve it, are you sick of it? I mean, do you have
No.
to try things
I-
a million times?
I do. And actually, I got quite heavy during test kitchen. We ate lots.
Those were fun days.
Those were fun days. And
I quit my job just to do that with you. It
yeah,
was a lot of
yeah.
fun.
It's quit a job just to hang out in test kitchen.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I got paid in
It's
food.
and I do love eating, of course, and I can eat tons. And
I got a question.
Yes.
Do you hate your own food?
what?
I think that's part
No,
of
I
what
eat-
makes me
no,
okay at what I do.
I'm
I
telling you.
hate my food, so I'm always trying to make it better. I bash on it.
That's perverse.
I
Yes.
guess. I
Yeah.
don't know what that word means. I'm kidding. No, that's the way I've always been. Like, I'll cook it, and I'm like, it's piss. Enjoy. And then I'll eat a little bit, and I'll go chain smoke. That's the way I've always felt about my own food.
Huh.
I don't know.
No, I
Saturday night.
actually love my own food.
I'm jealous.
And
Well, yours is better than mine. But I'll get there.
but no, I eat it every day, all day, and I don't get
Nice.
tired of it. And I create my own sandwiches, and a lot of the sandwiches, the specials I was talking about, come from my cravings. And I do these arancinis and meat pies. I know you're familiar with, and it's very global, and I've always loved global cuisine. And so I'll make these arancini, for example, that they're a staple that changes pretty much daily. So arancini means little orange in Sicilian, and it's because what they do, and it's amazing the similarities among cuisines and cultures. They take their leftover risotto and whatever scraps they have, and they fold it into their risotto, bind it with egg and breadcrumb, and usually Parmesan cheese, and make balls, bread it, and fry it, and they become snacks or appetizers. So instead of just doing Italian arancini, I do samosa arancini, onigiri arancini.
Onigiri?
Onigiri is
like Japanese?
Japanese onigiri, but I use risotto, and that's the great thing about onigiri is they take their leftover sushi and make onigiri. So the Italians and Japanese have the same thing going on, and I believe Indians do something similar as well. So it's just great fun, and that's when I say I crave and get hungry for any kind of food, I usually ends up in the form of arancini or in a meat pie. And the reason for the meat pies as well is it's not your classic Nakadish meat pie. I take fillings, again, from around the world and just have fun.
Now, how are you influenced by other places? Have you traveled, or do you just read about places and try the spices? Or
Both. I've traveled extensively, and I have over 600 cookbooks now. So I read constantly and study, and I have magazines dating back to the, I think I have every savoir ever put out there, and same with most other food magazines.
So after a while, can you like read a cookbook and kind of taste it as you're reading it? I mean, like,
No, I
is that you have that ability? Huh,
so you
that's
can
interesting.
combine that. We're linking up tonight because I was going to ask. Now, can you come up with something totally
never been done
bizarre and have an idea of what it's going to taste like? And
before. It happens all the time.
And you're right.
No,
You ever dead wrong?
Yeah, have
Oh.
you ever made something that was like you
You
thought for
expected it to taste
sure
one way and
was
it
gonna-
tasted something different. The
but it was
flavors
good.
combined
But
differently.
it was still good.
It's still
Still
good.
good.
Yeah,
all right.
yeah. I waste nothing. It's I sold it. Yes, but no. Usually it's pretty right on. It's
You
pretty
should
right
start
on.
a survival theme restaurant. You know, you could only serve like roadkill and like beasts of whatever they're called, like
When
Or
y'all want to
leftovers.
open that, I'm in.
undomesticated animals.
To me, an amazing someone that can really cook is someone like that.
And breast milkshakes.
Yes, but my brother can come into my
Oh, I like that.
refrigerator. I want y'all to open this. It's he'll come into my refrigerator and I'll have tons of shit rotting or like going. Like I don't know how to use an ingredient for several days. Like so I'll have something. I'll make a great meal, but then I'll have things that go to waste. So I would love. And my brother comes in and he'll like pull things out and create something.
That could
And
be a
to me,
TV
that's-
show.
Yeah.
Salvage or something like, kitchen salvage, whatever.
Kevin
Salvaging
comes
the,
into
yeah.
your house with Mike, and Mike's a little hates himself about what you're creating, but then, I mean,
He could
I
turn
think
like the
that's-
wilted cabbage into kimchi.
Yes,
stuff
that
like that,
to me
right?
is a real gift to be able to combine things and on the fly, or just that's creative, right? I mean, is that exciting to you? And
Very, and it's one of the main reasons I do what I do. and especially at Wayfare. I mean, that was, and Vince, the owner, allowed me to do whatever I want to do, and that's why everything is mine. Everything's from scratch, as well. Which I don't know if everyone knew that or not, but everything's made in house.
So how many? Tell us some. I know a lot is made, but will you tell us a list of?
Well, like. We
meats.
serve so many, yeah. We serve so many sandwiches. Like we make our own mayonnaise. So I make, I don't know how many gallons of mayonnaise a week. 20. I mean, it's incredible.
20 gallons. Let's see, that's like a drum.
It's
right?
incredible.
Isn't that
It's incredible amounts.
Yeah,
but I have.
that's like a like a oil drum.
But
Yeah.
all my sandwiches get different mayonnaise. Well, for the ones that do get mayonnaise, and then there's special mayonnaises, and then there's. That's just one of the things.
I hate mayonnaise. I despise it. It's my
haven't
least
tried
favorite
it?
Yeah,
thing
but
on the planet.
homemade mayonnaise. Have
No.
you ever had homemade? I mean,
yeah,
it
no,
is.
But I was going to say, but like when you can do something creative with it, I can be won over. But then it's not really like mayonnaise anymore.
Well, what do you hate about mayonnaise? I'm sorry,
Oh,
but
we
this
don't-
isn't
no,
about
no, no,
Ray,
no,
but is it?
Another
It's not
time.
like breast milk. I mean, I
Yeah.
gotta get something out. You got food on your
The
face.
viewers can't tell. All right, no. Never mind. Anyway, so you make lots and lots of mayonnaise.
I do. I do.
I mean, by the
that's
way,
what
I've liked every single thing I've ever had at Wayfare. I've been there about a dozen
And
times. I've never had
compound
anything.
butters.
Thank you
you
so
make
much.
compound butters.
I make medjool date butter. I make, guava butter. I'm serving guava butter today.
Peppers. I see you
I
make.
make pepper jelly. I make.
The meats. If you don't talk about the
We
meats,
talked
I'll
about
be
the
upset.
meats
Okay,
briefly.
well, I
We
wasn't
talked
invited
about
to
it.
that.
you were next door at the.
Acquiring
we've got a-
ingredients. That's what I was
Yes.
doing.
He was making the chorizo.
Oh, it's
Yeah.
recently just served Steen's butter. I do a sandwich called the Beauregard, which is made with sweet potatoes.
on.
Beauregard sweet potatoes.
Oh,
Yeah.
nice.
So that's the name of the sweet potato. So it's an easy name, and it comes with pecans, caramelized onion. I serve it on a raisin brioche, and I spread the outside with regular butter, and the inside gets Steen's butter. It's very buttery, very tasty,
Yum.
and it gets mild provolone and mild cheddar as well. It's a very tasty, popular sandwich.
I want to get back to the mayo for a second.
Sure.
Can you explain to Ray how mayo is made?
Yes.
Because I think he would really appreciate it more.
If
even
I'm
more.
not going to be responsible if I throw up while he's describing.
You will not throw. I mean,
hate it
It's
so
very,
bad.
it's very easy. It's
Worst two things in the world: hot dogs and mayo. The worst thing would be a hot dog with mayo. That would be the worst ever. But go ahead.
no, it's really good.
If I was king, I'd ban it. Except for you, you would get an injunction. You know, you would have a reprieve from that.
Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you. I'm voting for you. It's basically just start with. It's very simple. Mustard, Dijon or whatever you prefer, and egg yolk, and a little lemon juice, and then you add oil to that. You can either whisk it by hand. It's very simple, or you can. I do it in a large Hobart mixer, and you drizzle oil into that, and it'll just start to. What it does, it emulsifies and becomes homogeneous, and you just keep adding oil, and then season it, salt and pepper, and I usually put lemon zest in it as well. And then I make a very thick mayo. It's like the Kewpie mayo in Japanese eat a lot, because I add things like salsa verde, spicy like sriracha and other liquids, so it becomes a more pliable mayonnaise. So it's very thick to start with, but then when I add ingredients to it, it thins it out a little bit. But it looks like just regular mayo, except colorful. It's green,
And
red, and
tastes
yellow. Yes.
unbelievable.
That sounds delicious.
All right, I'm changed.
Converted. That's like a mayo altar call.
Well, y'all, coming up, we're going off the menu, and we're going to ask you a couple of questions you wouldn't be asked at a culinary school or in a job interview. At least not a job you'd want. Maybe Mike would want it, but I
Take
don't.
what I can get.
And but before we get to that, I'd like to take a moment to thank Petite Pet Care for the support of Midnight Menu Plus One. The folks at Petite Pet Care understand that when you're at work or school, some pets are fine going to the kennel or doggy daycare, but others prefer the comfort of their own home. If you need someone to give your pet loving when you're not there, and you can find Petite Pet Care at petitepetcare.com.
All right. Thanks also to our friends at Magic Toy Box, a toy store with toys for Did I say something wrong? I did say, it's supposed to be Magic Box Toys. Let's back up. I did it last week, too. Thanks also to our friends at Magic Box Toys, a toy store with toys for everybody, from infants to grandparents. You can find them online at magicboxneworleans.com. That's magicboxneworleans.com. They're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and Pinterest. And if you go visit Magic Box Toys on Magazine Street in Uptown, tell them Ray and Margo sent you, and you're going to get a 10% off of everything in the store discount. That's great. That offer is good right now through the end of May, so drop into Magic Box Toys and experience the magic for yourself.
Also on Magazine Street, after you enjoy yourself shopping at Magic Box Toys, head on down to Monkey Hill Bar. Happy hour is every weekday from 3 to 8 p.m., $3.50 well drinks, and $1 off beer, wine, and signature cocktails.
Okay, so as we promised, we're going off the menu with our special guests, Kevin White and his +1, Mikey Coustay. And we're going to ask you each a question you wouldn't normally be asked in culinary school. Why don't you go first, Mario?
Oh, okay. So,
Can I interject?
yes, please.
Wayfare has happy hour 7 days a week from 4 to 7. And it's an excellent.
Are they a sponsor? Wait.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, they're good.
Fuck her stuff
Go
at
ahead,
the end. Keep in mind.
Oh, sorry.
No,
I didn't
say
want to
that
forget.
again?
I didn't want
4
to
to
forget.
7 happy hour?
Every day.
And what does that do for you?
Oh, you get half off everything.
Half off everything.
Pretty much.
Half
Pretty
off
much.
everything.
Pretty much.
The food too?
From 4 to 7.
Not all. No. Just appetizers like meat pies and arancini. It's a great place. We have 30 craft beers. Many of them are unique. We're the only ones that have them in the city.
Wow.
So a lot of folks come over happy hour, loving our beers and eating arancini. I make a lot of spicy ones as well, so they want to drink more beer. But yes.
Don't give away the secret.
Oh.
Go ahead, Margo.
Okay.
What's your question?
You go first. You ask Mikey first because I'm. I had a question, and I am having a hard time finding it. Go ahead.
Mikey, what celebrity would you like to be a personal chef for? Who would you most like to cook a few meals
celebrity.
Whispering is allowed.
We're talking Scarlett Johansson. That's what you're thinking. No, I want to do other things to her.
He didn't say whose breast milk would you
Right.
like to
Back to the rest
No,
of it.
I don't want to cook for her. There's other things I'd like to do for her. I guess honestly it would be Alton Brown.
Oh.
I learned more from Kevin White than I did any teacher, any chef, or any TV show. And that's why I like hanging out with him in bars. I learned a lot in bars from him, actually, just talking about food. But Alton Brown, I did get to meet once, and I thanked him. And I said, I learned more from you than I did from all my teachers. And he said, well, you should have dropped out of school and watched me. And I said, well, I did. So thank you. I owe you some money, actually. So I would love to cook for him and show him what I learned from him and my twist on it, So that's my answer.
Very good. All right.
All right, Kevin.
Yes.
Which mainstream kitchen contraption do you wish was never invented?
Oh, that's a good question. Mainstream. Okay. It would have to be something to do with molecular gastronomy. I mean, the world can live without sous vide. I mean, I don't hate any of this stuff. I use it, but it's unnecessary. So I'll go with that because lack of better
Okay.
All right.
answer.
See, I never cooked
That's
with
a
that.
deep
That's 'cause,
answer.
I guess you don't do it much. That's why I don't know anything about sous
I
vide.
do now.
Okay. Well, we got to sit
And
down
what
and talk.
what does that do? It saves time. I don't know what
It does it. It cooks things to exact temperature and holds it. So you want something done at 150. You set it for 150, and it'll slowly cook it. What
in
it does
water or something? No.
in water, yes.
Yeah.
And sous vide, it's under wraps. So it's in plastic, and what it does, it keeps all the flavor inside the bag, pretty much, and cooks it to the perfect temperature you want. So if you want it
Okay.
medium rare, it'll cook it to medium rare, whatever, 125 or whatever temperature
can
you want.
hold for a while,
yeah,
right?
and it can hold. It can stay at that temperature. So it does. It's like perfect cooking.
So there's no real
Yes.
hand. You're
Exactly.
not putting it yourself
Soulless.
into it.
Soulless.
Exactly.
Okay.
It does create a wonderful product, and a lot of people use them. But Yes, you could live without it.
So, what kind of places use that? I mean, is that like a restaurant or just
no.
every restaurant because the time factor?
Everyone who can afford one gets one.
Okay.
They're a little pricey, and but they're good to have around. And it's
Okay.
true, you can put it in the water and forget about it, and that is one thing about it. But again, it does become soulless, like you say. But
if it's just one element, I mean, you're so creative that if it
a
saves
slippery
time
slope,
on
Margo.
one thing, okay, all right. But I'm just saying,
so
your heart is in everything that you do. I wouldn't fault you if I came in and had perfectly cooked.
Listen, it
piece
starts
of
out with
fish on
one
a-
element, then it's two, then it's four, then it's the whole thing, and then there's a drive-through, and
then,
then Kevin's wearing khakis and a blue polo everywhere, and he's no longer craving breast milk, and it's all
Wow,
over.
It's all over.
It's all over. You might as well just pack it in.
All right.
So,
all right.
well, I'll tell you what I do, which is wonderful. My signature sandwich is the knuckle sandwich, and not because it was a boxing gym, but it's the cut of meat that surrounds the hip joint, and it looks like a knuckle. It's kind of flat on the bottom and rounded. So I used to just roast it at a high temperature, then cook it at a lower temperature to make it come out beautifully medium rare. So it's this beautiful pink meat. But since I got my sous vide machine, what I do is I put it in a very high oven for about 20 minutes until it gets good and caramelized on the outside. And there's 6 muscle groups in a knuckle. So I break down the knuckle into the 6 muscle groups, sous vide, put them in the plastic, that's cryovac machine, and then I cook them to the temperature I want, which is a secret.
Now we know.
So
I'm going to go
and
do
then-
this now.
So then I shave
No.
it. I shave it paper thin, and it melts in your mouth.
Wow. Why are you so obsessed with sandwiches? You are fixated on sandwiches.
I'm not. I never did sandwiches.
Wow.
I mean, I grew
That's
up.
all you've talked about this whole show. Besides the breast milk, that's the only thing that got you off the sandwiches.
I talk about meat pies and arancini.
No, that's true. Yeah.
And sliders. I kill sliders.
No, there's nothing wrong with sandwiches. I'm just
Yeah.
wondering.
Oh no! Well, I never did sandwiches before, and I thought this would be a great challenge. So I've done all this fine dining, and what I try and do is put fine dining into a sandwich.
To a sandwich.
That's the idea behind it. There's really many more moving parts than it appears when you get my sandwiches. They're very busy, very busy.
I love that because it looks simple and it sounds simple, but it's really like surprising when you eat it.
I hear a
and
lot.
and it has a lot of depth of flavor, and then that's unusual. Honestly, that's a great feat for a sandwich.
Well, it's difficult, and that's when you have this test kitchen. You do all this stuff. You find out the properties of bread, and when you put anything on bread really mutes flavors. So that's why if you taste my mayonnaise and sauces I put on them, they're very strong. If you were just to take a spoonful, it's like, wow, that's crazy. But when you put it on the bread, it comes through better, and there is that flavor there. When you do eat sandwiches, and I do around town all the time, there's a lot of bland sandwiches out there. So when you eat mine, people get very excited about it.
Now, what's your second favorite sandwich in the city after your place? Like, where'd you go first for a sandwich?
My brother's house.
All right, place you pay for.
I don't have time to go out.
Okay.
We had at Stein's a bit.
Oh,
And, uh,
Dan Stein.
Yeah.
Anything Dan Stein makes. And when I was opening this place, I never knew him, and I thought he was kind of a curmudgeon.
Yeah.
And when I met him and I told him what I was doing, he gave me tons of advice. And he's the nicest, kindest man. My slicer broke one time. He gave me a slicer till I got mine fixed. He's the most generous man I know in the city.
Well, that's
Yes.
wonderful.
He's
And so that y'all are in your friends, and you met through other chefs, and so that leads me to, I want to know, like, Dan is a nice guy. Have y'all found that in this city that
Oh, yes.
there's a camaraderie
Very much so.
amongst,
Very much so.
Absolutely.
chefs and
And I remember running into you one night at the Frost Up, and Aaron Bergow was there. He's,
Yeah,
he's
oh, we
another
love
one.
him.
He's
Yeah, he's
fantastic.
great.
Fantastic guy. Yeah, no, there is, and everybody helps one another when you need it. And you run out of things, whatever.
Yeah, there's
and
definitely a
is that
brotherhood.
unique to our city, or I mean, have
not
you found
necessarily.
that in other places
I think
as well?
the culinary community is about giving, and you're feeding people. And I think in most places this holds true. It was that way in New York and Seattle as well. I mean, you have people that aren't that way, and there's a lot of grumpy chefs out there. But for the most part, it's a big community, and they help one another. And there's always doing charities and all these things. So no, I think it's very I think it's this way everywhere.
I can definitely agree to that. I just got back from Boston yesterday, and Amtrak lost all my luggage. And I woke up in my chef coat, hopped on the train, and wore it the whole time I was there. So walking into a restaurant and they saw me in the coat, I'd get a tour of the place, and I interview them and hung out. And I learned a lot about Boston and history and all because I had on the coat. There is a camaraderie and a brotherhood in the whites. It's a weird thing, but...
And fortunately, you can walk the walk too. You weren't just some guy wearing a coat, right? I mean,
well, I didn't have to cook for him, so they didn't know. You tell me you tried some of the
No, let me ask you, Mike. Do you go by Mike or Mikey?
You can call me whatever you want.
Okay.
Mike's good though.
Now, weren't you doing a food show?
I do. I have a podcast, and actually, the last episode I recorded was with you, and it was so long-winded that we took a break, and I never turned the microphones back on. It's not that it was bad. It's just that I got busy with the website that I'm doing now, and I'm very ADD, so I pop around.
But tell our listeners about your.
It's called
podcast.
Live Food, and that's the first question I ask. And I've got a list of questions that I have typed out, and I have these D&D dice, Dungeons and Dragons. I'm not a Dungeons and Dragons guy, but
how many sides do they have on them?
16.
16-sided. Okay,
So-
because there were 20-sided. There was the 8-sided. I
I want to say
remember
it's
this.
the 16. But
4-sided.
you roll the dice, and whatever that number is, that's the question I'm going to ask you, and we're going to talk about it until we're tired of it. And that's one of the things I do. But it's a lot of, why did you start cooking, and what got you into this, and really, how did this happen in your life? What did you do wrong to become a chef? And it actually all started with this one dishwasher that I helped turn into a cook. I said, look, you're my age, and you're washing dishes, and you seem happy with it, but I know you can do more. And I pushed him to do more. And we were sitting down talking about it at a bar one night, and this girl sitting next to us, beautiful young lady, she goes, can y'all stop talking about this? I'm starting to tear up. She goes, I've never seen two guys speak with such love for each other and what they do. And I said, well, I'm kicking around this idea. Would you listen? And I pitched it to her, and she said, I would listen every day if you made a show like that. So we did, and it did okay for a little while. I had some Twitter followers that were into it, and they keep asking me to do it. I don't have all the nice equipment or that guy over there helping, so the sound's all jacked up. But I'm going to get back into it. I'm really digging in on the gopaleo.com website that I started, and it actually touches on what you were talking about earlier. It's not about teaching people recipes. I want to teach people how to think like a chef. And so you can look into a fridge of rotting food and go, okay, that definitely needs to go away, but these three things I can combine. And to me, all good food, all good recipes start in the grocery store. It starts with your ingredients, where you buy them from, the shopping process. That's why I worked in grocery for a long time and why I know about distribution. I like to know where things come from. And I learned all that from you.
And you should know there's a book called Think Like a Chef.
I'll never read. See, okay, I'm glad you brought that up. I am totally ignorant to the history of food. I don't read. I don't have the time or the mind for it. So I'll kick around an idea in my head, and I'll go, hey, chef, what about this? And he's like, yeah, the 80s, New York. Read a book, you asshole. Read a book. I'm like, I'm sorry, I can't help it. Okay, so that's a good idea that happened.
It happens a lot.
So, but this one, this new thing I'm working on, I've been researching it. Well, I made my people do it. They're researching it, and this thing I'm working on now is new. Thank you for bringing up Mind of a Chef. I'll have someone read it to me.
Yeah.
There's nothing original anymore, except for your sandwiches.
Except your sandwiches.
Well, unfortunately, guys, we are coming to the end of our show. And we really appreciate you both coming out, Kevin and Mike, to join us, because I know your time is precious. And we'd like to give you an opportunity to, Kevin, will you please tell us about the hours and
web address,
some more information about Wayfare, and Mike, after you have an opportunity to share with us.
So we're open 7 days a week. During the week, actually Monday through Thursday, it's 11 to 10. Friday and Saturday, 11 to 11. And Sundays, 11 to 9.
Okay.
On Freret Street.
On Freret Street.
Uptown.
4510 Freret Street. Yes. Uptown Freret, which is an amazing street these days. It's
Hoppin'.
really coming along. Yes, we have great neighbors. Encore and Hi-Hat are right next door. Rook Cafe, Sarita's, now Public House, That Dog, Midway, Mint.
Unbelievable
All those
array right there within a few blocks.
Origami.
Incredible.
It's
And we got to see it all happen.
We did.
Yeah, it was incredible to see. I won't get into it.
no.
So my plugs, if you want me to do
Go.
that now, yeah. GoPaleo.com, spelled GEAUX, paleo.com. You can follow me on Twitter at NolaChef504. And if you find me in the city and you call me by my screen name, you and a guest get a free drink no matter where we are.
Wait, say
Whoa,
that again.
what's your screen name?
Oh, now they listen. Okay. Now it matters. It's at NolaChef504. And that's part of my gimmick is if you find me, I'll buy you and a guest a beer and we'll sit down and talk. And it goes back as to the way I did college. I played chess. And if you would sit down and play against me, I interview you on what you were learning in school. Instead of going to the classes, I had no want to sit in a classroom. So I do the same thing now in real life. And podstormpro.com is my very, very shabbily put together podcast, and I'd love people to listen to it. Because if people don't listen, I won't do it. I'll lose interest. So thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Good night. Our special guest tonight on Midnight Menu Plus One was the one and only Kevin White of Wayfare, and his plus one was Mikey Coustay. You can find out more about their endeavors by following our links on our site, itsneworleans.com. Midnight Menu Plus One is produced by Grant Morris, Margo Moss, and me, Ray Canada. Our technical producer is Chris Keogh, and our director of everything else is Mary Ross.
Thanks to our sponsors who made tonight's show possible. Petite Pet Care for loving care when you're not there. PetitePetCare.com. Magic Box Toys. Experience the magic at Magic Box Toys on Magazine Street. Tell them you're a Midnight Menu Plus One listener and they'll give you 10% off on your purchase.
Now, hey, if you'd like to be a sponsor of Midnight Menu Plus One, get in touch with us at our website, itsneworleans.com, or just email us at sales@itsneworleans.com.
And if you'd like to be a guest or suggest a guest for Midnight Menu Plus One, you can do that on our website too. You can find photos from tonight's show, check out our blog, and all sorts of other great stuff on itsneworleans.com, including our other shows. Out to Lunch, Happy Hour, Vietnola, True to the Game, and Mindset.
And you can connect with me and Margo anytime by following Midnight Menu Plus One on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
The awesome audio quality of this show is brought to us by Chris Kehoe's Magic and PreSonus Audio. More information about all the wonderful sound recording equipment PreSonus makes is at presonus.com. PRESONUS.com.
Midnight Menu Plus One is a production of INO Broadcasting for itsneworleans.com. For all of us here at Midnight Menu Plus One, thanks for joining us. We'll see you back here next week around New Orleans Podcast Dining Table. Till then, I'm Ray Canada.
And I'm Margo Moss. Good night.
You know Labor Day signals the unofficial end of summer, but not the end of your outdoor projects. Lowe's helps you do it right and helps you save with Labor Day deals throughout the store. Shop now and get 2 bags of Stay Green potting mix for $12. And keep your lawn looking neat and trim with a Craftsman 2-cycle 17-inch gas string trimmer, now $20 off at just $119. Whatever's still on your to-do list this Labor Day, do it right for less. Start with Lowe's. Offers valid through 8/28. Soil offer excludes Alaska and Hawaii, U.S. only.